Get in, nerds. We're playing Victoria 3. We are still operating in a late game economy, and we've got the People's Revolution working. This should be finished out in a little bit, and I think after that, I don't know how samey the gameplay is going to get with us just sort of touching up on the market and making sure things stay productive. So I think there's definitely going to be a point at which I'm going to call it on this run. And like we've accomplished so very much. We're a high-ranking power. We have a very productive economy. We're exporting tons and tons of goods. It's just there's a limit to how much we can do. So I think I am going to probably put a pin in this run, maybe in just a few episodes. I'm not sure. You know, we've kind of come to our point. I do want to get to the end of this thing. See, one of the things that I find happens in the late game a lot is once you sort of become a top-tier country, if you don't have a particular kind of ambition, the run tends to kind of peter out a bit. And ooh, the Netherlands have also become a communist country. Interesting. Oh, our relations with the Netherlands are quite bad. Alright, there's submarine unlocking. So we'll go ahead and grab that. It's going to change up our costs. We're working on destroyer, but there's not... That one's actually almost done. I think that one started spreading to us. So that's neat. In terms of production, I don't know how much more there is to do. Oh, refrigerated storage is actually probably really good. Let's grab that next. The workers of Scandinavia have finally overthrown the bourgeois government and established a council republic. But there is still far more work to be done before socialism has been truly achieved. As long as human labor power and consequently life itself remain articles of sale and purchase, of exploitation and robbery, the principle of the, quote, sacredness of human life, unquote, remains a shameful lie, uttered with the object of keeping the oppressed slaves in their chains. The vanguard party will lead the way. The trade unions will always select vanguardist leaders. Gives us additional impact of suppression on interest groups. Interesting. All power to the councils. Path to communism. So this is the same thing except communist leaders. And then minus 20% bureaucracy institution cost multiplier. That's really, really strong. Or no gods, no masters. 100% extra loyalists for standard of living, which does seem good, but I'm stuffed to the gills with loyalists. So I think we're going with this one. That's going to help with our bureaucracy by a lot. We've been over on bureaucracy for a while, so I think we can actually downsize some of these buildings. I'm not going to downsize too many of them. But we're going to drop maybe a few in each of my states that's got a lot of them, because I don't need all this bureaucracy, and it's costing the people money. So we'll go ahead and do that. Unpause here. And that'll free up a little cash for working on other things. We got 2 new journal entries related to communism, and these are the 5-year plan and Our Revolution. So Our Revolution, we need public health insurance and a level 5 health system, old age pensions and level 5 social security. It's true, we don't have old age pensions, so do we want to shoot for these things? We need to get a 25% increase in GDP. That, I don't know how easy that's going to be to achieve. But we might shoot to complete this one. We actually don't need to have high workforce participation anymore, so we could go to old age pensions and not have a problem with that, and I think that's what we're going to do. And then, the other one is it requires public health insurance. And the thing about public health insurance is I don't know that it's actually better the Paris Commune. Oh my goodness. All of France has gone... All of France has become a council republic. Well, you seem chill. For some reason, I'm not able to participate in this diplomatic play, which is a surprise. I feel like I should. I feel like I've got interests in this general area, but apparently not. Well, that is fascinating. Someone else in on it? No, nobody's participating. But it might be just that it's not very far. No, it's pretty far. Alright, well, you go get him, France. Let's see if we can't sell some liquor and groceries abroad. And there's the destroyer. And liquor, we're still selling plenty of liquor. We have been all game, but let's see if we can't sell more. Just a little bit. Very sad. So then we get destroyers. That increases the cost of our naval bases significantly, but it also makes them a lot better. And hopefully that continues to increase our power projection. Huh. Austria's is very high still. We're getting 1,700 from Army and 900 from Navy power projection. And we are getting significantly less than that. That's a surprise. Got a lot of flotillas. We've seen this event before a lot. We'll go ahead and do this one. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a military expansion then. Sort of round out some numbers here. Again, don't want to do too much of that. Old age pension is going to reduce. So, we're paying a certain amount of welfare, but not that much. So we could increase this all the way there. 10. We still need another technology before we can get health all the way up, and that's going to be antibiotics. So I'm going to go ahead and queue that one up now, and then do pasteurization after that. We're on the bleeding edge technologically, for sure. We're still producing exactly as much innovation as we're capable of producing, which is good. Revolution in Japan. Interesting. Everywhere there are revolutions rocking the world. It's very strange. Paris Commune has just gone to war with France. The Paris Commune has a really high amount of infamy, and I'm not sure how that happens other than just being a programmed event, which I think it is, because I think the Paris Commune has a lot of events going on. Japan, I don't... You should know that I practice a policy of strict neutrality on all questions. Gosh, we are. I know building a strong military is a temptation to adventurism, but... You know, I think it'll be fine. We're very high on cash at this point. Cuba, do you still not want to be friends? You still don't want to be friends. At least, you don't want to be trading partners, which I vibe with. I don't have enough influence. Oh my gosh, communard. That's really funny. It's funny, I knew that was an old French term, but the thing it always reminds me of is it being that phrase from Disco Elysium. The phrase that gets used for communists in Disco Elysium. That's very funny. So, I always go with private health system in this game, and I explained it kind of earlier, but basically, this is going to give us 0.3 mortality per wealth, per level of investment. I think I explained this earlier, but it's useful to explain. Whereas this gives us a flat 5% per investment level. So in this case, translating at level 4 to 20% versus 1.2 per wealth. But here's the thing about 1.2 per wealth. Our lowest stratum's wealth is 21. So 20% would be what it would provide to everyone if it were public versus 21 at 21 wealth, you're getting about 25% reduced mortality. So private health insurance is ultimately better. With that having been said, I think it would be fun to finish out this last journal entry, and we're pretty close. And this old age pension thing is going to be easy peasy to get past, and then after that, we're just going to be waiting on the investment to finish. Sugar problem, eh? Well, time to pull some in from France and America. I guess. We're having a real sugar shortage. I wonder what happened there. Law progressed to approval. Wonderful. Do a promotion. Gilbert Axelson? Sure, why not? Alright, so it appears the French Commune is no longer at war. Good. Why can't I... Trade agreement. They would not accept. But why, France? We could be such good friends. Am I having an unemployment problem again? I am. Yeah, I keep forgetting that now that I don't have much private industry, I need to build up my own buildings or my economy will stop working. I will say it was a huge quality of life thing having that be mostly automated. I know I'm kind of overbuilding tooling, but we are exporting just an absolutely bananas amount of tools, so we'll go ahead and do that. We still got pretty high power requirements, so we'll go with some more power plants as well. We have, oh my gosh, we have a lot of labor available in Svealand and Jotland. So we'll do both. I think our motor industries are actually reasonably productive. Let's build up some more. Secret internationalism. Socialist internationalism. The Communist Party is receiving election campaign support from the vanguardist rural folk in the French Commune. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face. The Internationale unites the human race. That probably sounds better in French. We can get a bunch of momentum and more vanguardists, or try to limit their influence. A little bit of momentum. Yeah, okay, let's do that. That's fine. That's fun. There is a communist revolt in Afghanistan. Look at that flag. Oh, I love it. That's aesthetic, friends. Except for the big rip down the middle, but... Oh, it's not communist at all. It's an autocratic presidential republic. That's very curious. This will stop touring. We've seen this event before. We'll go with the one that's better. Yeah, we're still doing pretty okay on military goods overall. We have machine guns for our specialists. If we swap them over to one of these, yeah, we got a bunch of different options for that. Okay, so that's old age pensions. That's going to reduce our workforce ratio, and that should hopefully reduce unemployment. But for now, let's go to, electric arc process, fun. Let's go to public health insurance. The industrialists want to preserve private health insurance, but there aren't too many of those guys anymore. Which is just fine. Let's get some more textile mills going. And more furniture manufactories. Factories, rather. Just making sure that we weren't going sideways on Adagio for 4 strings. So yeah, so I think we're basically going to go on this run until we hit our revolution. I don't think we necessarily need to work on increasing our GDP all that much. I think we're just we're at a decent balance point. My concern is that if we continue to build up all this stuff, we're going to arrive at a point where we're just sort of spinning the wheels. And in fact, in order to facilitate that not happening, I'm going to increase us to speed 4 here. Let me see. Japan had a change in government. It's now a parliamentary technocracy. Interesting. Technate. It's a government type ruled by the chief engineer, a senior figure, on a board of technocratic professionals. Interesting. There's the election again. Government's still righteous. Looks like the trade unions moved to the Communist Party. If we eject the Labour Party from government, that doesn't help, though, so we'll leave it be. Fascists holding in a steady 12.7%. Suppose we could go for anarchy. Popular playwright. Well, that's excellent. It'd be very silly at this point to grab the prestige, but I'm still tempted. Still, let's grab the enactment success chance. We're kind of hemorrhaging money, but there's so much in the pot that I'm not necessarily worried about it. There's Social Security up at 5. So we got one more year till it hits, up at 4. So we're one more year till it hits 5. We're paying out $40K in welfare payments. So that shouldn't be an issue. Oh, interesting. The United States wants to fight France. I seem to be leaning towards the United States. Sure, it'd be interesting if Prussia tangled with this. If I were doing a more warfare and diplomacy international focused run, I would interfere. But for now, I think we're just relaxing. I am still improving relations with you, right? Must be. Yes, here we go. Excellent. We're in amendment now. Continuing to work at this. And where are our institutions? 42 weeks for that. A lot of stuff going on in Brunei, but I don't necessarily need to concern myself with it. Here we go. Huh. I recognize this country. I think it might be a reformed, decentralized power, but I'm not sure. France really seems to have kind of won the scramble for Africa, as it were. It's got a lot of territory in both the north and in both the Saharan and sub-Saharan areas. It's interesting. It's an interesting outcome. So. Well, they're fighting for sure. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here with 75% loyalists from my absolutely overwhelming standard of living. And, yeah, we're just chilling. We're chilling today, friends. Gotten to approval. That's good. And that institution investment is at 32 weeks. So hopefully that'll just sort itself out. Again, at this point, I'm not paying too much attention. We're having a lot of relaxation happening here because I'm just kind of mindlessly expanding the economy. I mean, I am raising the GDP. Let's throw down some extra steel mills. I sure have got an overwhelming abundance of labor available. So we'll put these in all kinds of places. I like steel. We got labor available in northern Norway. Where are we in the population ranks? We're at 13. And there's public health insurance. So once we get to... Ooh. Huh. GDP is funny. Yeah. Again, if I were in a run where I were, you know, being more aggressive in the late game, I would be about that. But for now, I think we're just fine. So once again, let's take a look at our revolution. That's right. We need more investment for health system, but we're working on that. We're 14 weeks away from having antibiotics, and then it's going to be another year for that. So let's just go ahead and go up to speed 5. Again, not necessarily worrying about any of this stuff. We're just having a nice relax in our lives. Having nice Victoria 3 and chill. Might be nice to have some more paper mills. Yeah, I think it sure would be. Which labor we've got available? Quite a bit. No paper mills in eastern Norway. Not a lot of paper mills everywhere, though. Uneven numbers. This is how I played it back in the not point, the 1 point not patch, when I was just kind of building up to even numbers and stuff like that. And this should be our moment. And then we just got one more year until that finishes, and we'll be good to go. Interestingly, we have tons of buy orders of silk in our market, which means it's probably time to go ahead and increase our synthetics plants by a bunch. We'll see how that helps. We'll see how that helps out the economy. And we'll do some more tooling just to tool around with. We are draining our reserves here, but countries can't really do this necessarily in the long term. But I can do it because we're only going to be around another year or so. Someday I'll do it. I don't know that I necessarily want to be in defensive pact with you, Great Britain, but IT for sure. Are you chill? Or are you still a technocratic presidential republic? War propaganda technology. Netherlands wants a treaty port in Spain. You know, you get 'em, Netherlands. I have great faith in you. That's wild. A favored party. Pressure Cuba to put the trade unions in government. That's, we should stay out of their internal politics. That's one of those events that's very interesting in theory, but often gets silly in practice, I think. You know, we're 24 weeks away from completing this. And once we do that, we'll kind of let the run be. You know, I think unfortunately for this, I really do love Victoria 3's just kind of city building potential. But I do think because of the way resources change in the late game, and the way the late game's kind of whole setup is complicated by its resource situation, I think you can get to these points where you want to have a late game where you're doing a lot of just sort of tweaking small levers, but it's just hard because if you don't go aggressive, you know, if you don't do any colonization or anything like that, it's just hard to get all the resources you need in order to maintain a late game economy. And that's just kind of the nature of the way it's set up. And I understand that's, you know, it mirrors the nature of the sort of imperialism of the 20th century. But it's, you know, I think there's a lot of fun, you know, cultural development to be done in the mid and early games. But I think once you get into the late game, you know, we're in the last 25 years of the game now, so we're quite in the end. And it's sad, but I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast that, like, there's only so much you can kind of do to do that without becoming a sort of aggressive colonizer power. And it's a shame. You know, I'm hoping there's going to be more you can do in terms of expanding expanding trade in the coming patches without being an aggressive colonizer, because again, I don't necessarily want that. I don't want to involve myself in other countries' situations either. So I'm gonna not do that. And here's our revolution about to pop. So we'll go ahead and reduce our speed so that we hit that. Here's that. The communist government has delivered on its promise to expand public institutions. All Scandinavian citizens are guaranteed access to healthcare, social security, education, and a safe workplace. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. This is a core principle of a communist society and a foundational principle for our fledgling state. We stand as a shining example of what humanity can achieve by working together for the common good. On such foundations is socialism built. Oh, and that gives us a bunch of extra bureaucracy. That's interesting. Is that permanent? No. No, it is not. Friends, it's been a good run. I've had fun. I hope you've had fun. And I'll see you all on the other side.